comrades, this is Chad here, and as you guys can tell by the title, inside today's video, I'm going to be doing my review of Summer of '84, so let's get right into it. So some of the reviews of this film are: IMDb gave it a 6.7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 69 out of 100. This film has multiple directors, and I just don't want to go through all of them, so I will have a picture right here, because I still do want to give them credit for the work that they did. And pretty much the plot of the film is: teenager Davy Armstrong is a conspiracy theorist who begins to suspect that a neighboring police officer is a serial killer. With the help of three of his friends, Davy launches an investigation that soon turns dangerous. Overall, I really enjoyed this film whenever I watched it. I think this is an extremely underrated film. I really didn't see any movie reviewers talking about it. The whole reason why I found out about it is because of the YouTuber Cody Leach. I definitely recommend watching him. Pretty much, it was his #1 spot of his top 5 favorite horror films of 2018. So I decided to check it out, and like I said, I overall really enjoyed this film. The plot, like I said, is pretty similar to Stranger Things and It, and I don't think it's right to just call this a ripoff, because I feel like, the idea of kids in the 80s, going against some greater force has been done before. Even if you go back to the 1980s, there's, the Monster Squad and the Goonies, as well as Super 8, which came out a couple years ago. Although that does take place in the 70s, it does have, a similar plot kind of to Stranger Things. And while this film is pretty similar to those other films, it still manages to be its own film. It's not the exact same as those films, and that was one of my main concerns going into this, is because of the reason why it's pretty much the exact same plot as It and Stranger Things. And like I said, it managed to be its own story, its own film. And to be honest, I probably enjoyed this film more than I enjoyed, Stranger Things and It. And like I said, I think this is an extremely underrated film. The reason being for, why it didn't blow up like, some other films from Sundance Film Festival do. That reason, I'm not 100% sure. All the actors do a really good job with their performances, especially the kid actors, and I feel like inside most of these films, the kid actors are usually the best parts, and this is definitely the case for this film. I feel like in this film, if the kid actors didn't work inside of it, the film would just not be as good as it could have been. And one of the things that I liked about this, more than Stranger Things and It, is because it doesn't really focus on the nostalgia of the 80s. Like I said, I enjoy Stranger Things and It, but I do feel like at some points it almost feels like they're hammering you over the head with all these nostalgic references to the 1980s. And like I said, I do think it's cool to see references to, Star Wars and other Dungeons and Dragons stuff from the 1980s inside of Stranger Things and It. But inside this film, I feel like it more focuses on the spirit of the 80s and not necessarily the nostalgia. Yes, some characters maybe mention a show here and there. They may be wearing a shirt of something that was popular at the time. And I do think it's cool to see those little Easter eggs. But this film doesn't really, focus on nostalgia. It more focuses, like I said, of the spirit of the 1980s. And I like that a lot better than, just showing nostalgia. Because being someone who wasn't alive during the 1980s, I can't really like the film as much if it just has a lot of nostalgic stuff from the period that I wasn't even alive in. And like I said, I overall really enjoyed this film. I would definitely recommend it. I think this is an extremely underrated film, and it's a lot better than some other films that have been coming out recently, like Stranger Things and It. Well, Stranger Things technically isn't a film, but I'm just going to be categorizing that with It, and as well as this film. And I think this film is, like I said, a lot better than Stranger Things and It. It's overall really enjoyable film with a really good cast, especially the kid actors, and I would overall definitely recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite movies that I've watched this year, although it didn't come out this exact year. I just overall really enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it a 9.1 out of 10. That's the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button to become a comrade today. Drop a like on this video and turn on the post notification bell so you're notified every single time I upload a video. Make sure you guys go check out my video from earlier today, and I'll be back again tomorrow or later today, probably not later today, with a brand new video, so stay tuned for that. This is Chad signing off. Peace out.